Hello and welcome back, guys. It's John here with another video on the SolidWorks assignments. In case you're not already aware, I'm an engineering student at Messiah University, and I make these videos to help you guys go through the SolidWorks assignments that are assigned each week. This is the final one, and I'm just going to preface this by saying this is it's pretty obvious why they chose this one as the last one. It is definitely the most difficult one, and did in fact give me even a little bit of difficulty working through it. But this really illustrates why it is important that we have a plan, and it'll teach us a lot of interesting tools about SolidWorks that will be very helpful going forward. All right. So we're going to start out by making a sketch as always, and on that sketch, we're going to make the back face of the part. We're going to ignore the little rounded top parts. We're going to get back to them later. But this is very important that you start out the sketch with the origin on one side. It should not be in the middle. Where I started out with it in that like little corner there is a spot that I would obviously recommend. And then you're just going to go through and you're going to sketch a very broad shape. We are not going to care very much at all about getting those proportions right. We just want to make sure that all the lines that are supposed to be in line with each other are, and those that are not, because otherwise that can mess up things, because SolidWorks will apply extra constraints that don't apply to your sketch. All right, then we are going to, and for whatever reason you cannot see this, but I am setting up a global variable. And the way that you're going to do that is you're going to open up, and I'm going to try and put this on the screen right now by recording another screen grab. But you're going to go open up a global variables dialog box that is under, I believe it's under tools and equations. And then you're just going to set that equal to 1 for now. But we're going to mess around with that later. So then that should pop up. Once you've completed that, you'll see a little thing that'll say equations. And then length, or whatever you named your variable, will be equal to 1. Then we're just going to go around dimension as usual. And I'm just going to skip through that because that's what we've been doing all week. Or all 4 weeks, I suppose. But now when we get to the dimensions, there's going to be a couple of rules that we're going to want to follow. Don't make any overall dimensions. And make sure that every dimension on the arm that is not on that is on the side opposite the origin goes back to 1 point on the top face, on that corner between the top arm and the second part of the gusset. I'm going to circle that joint right there. You want everything to refer back to that. Nothing should refer to no dimension should use anything that's on the other side of the part. And that's because so you're going to see that despite you adding all those dimensions, it's going to say that a lot of that isn't constrained until you add in that dimension across the gap. And we're going to put in that dimension in a very specific way. Rather than typing in a number in the dialog box, we're going to type in equals and then whatever the name of your variable was. So for me, I would have put in equals length. And then when you put that in and hit enter, you're going to see that it's going to have a sigma, which in this case stands for equations, and then it has your your 1 inch. You can see I'm highlighting. That is where your equation should appear, because that's going to give you the ability to edit it. And I would strongly recommend that you do this now. Open up that dialog box again and change it from 1 to some other number like 4 or 10 or just something very different from everything else, because it's going to allow you to see. You want to make sure that nothing else is changing, because if you look in the description for the assignment, it says that we need to be able to alter that length using parametric equations, which is what we just used, but that nothing else will change when we do that. All right, so it's very important that we check that now before we build up the whole part and realize that our sketch was wrong. So you see, when I change that to 4, nothing else has changed, just that length is equal to 4. Everything else still says fully defined, everything, so then I'm going to be good to change it back, and then I'm going to save that sketch. All right, then I'm going to extrude it as usual. That's going to be to 1.5 inches. And then we're going to go through and just assemble the part as we usually would. But when we make our next sketch, that's going to be the hole through, and it's going to be the little circular rounded edge up at the top. Now that says that has a radius of 2 inches, and we're going to move that when we put it in. We're going to make a box, basically a rectangle, and then we're going to make the circular part cut out of it. We're going to trim the bottom line, so we're just left with exactly what we want, and then we're going to constrain everything. Now this took me a while to figure out, but it's important that you do that, because if you just have that circular part, for some reason SolidWorks can't figure out that you are describing an actual part, that you're describing an actual surface that exists, so you can't extrude it. Once all of that is set up, then you are good to extrude that. But when we extrude it, we're going to use a different type of extrusion tool. You're going to see right now it says, right under direction 1, it says blind. If you select that, it's going to give you a drop-down menu, and you're going to select the one that says up to surface. Then it's going to give you an option to select a surface. And you're going to select the other surface of the opposite bracket. And the reason that we do that is because that way when we change the that parameter for the length, it's still going to extrude all the way through. Now we're going to make the holes and little chamfer type of features that exist on the faces on the bottom of the part. And we're going to do that as 2 separate sketches rather than one, again, so that nothing breaks when we move it. So I'm just going to quick skip over. By now you should be able to do all of this. And then once we're done with that, we're going to check again. We're going to go back and we're going to change our length again to 4 or whatever. And we're going to make sure that nothing else gets altered, that it just changes that middle length. And it's going to take a while to load that, because it's got to resolve everything all over again. But if you did it right, you should be able to do that without too much of an issue. And then we're going to change it back to how it's supposed to be. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them into the comments, and I will get back to those in a timely manner. But that is how to make the final week's part. I know there's a lot of new stuff in there, so yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out if you can't understand something that's going on. All right, thank you guys for watching through the video, and have another great week.